Amy. Amy. Dios mío.
Poltergeist activity in the attic, or just breeze lifting the attic cover. Leave your thoughts in the comments.
What the hell? Drop them up there. I know ain't nobody looking down this periscope.
Until the next one, stay grim.
Astaghfirullahaladzim! Come on! What? Wait! Wait! أعوذ بكلمات الله العليم أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق يا ريمي يا ريمي الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر يا ريمي الله أكبر في سيدي الله أكبر كلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. هاي الله أكبر سبحان الله الله أكبر wih ada boleh terbang nih ada boleh terbang nih ada boleh terbang nih ada boleh terbang wih subhanallah Allah Akbar a'udzu bikalimat Allah التامة من شر ما خلق ربي نجني من الشر الله أكبر
Damn, man. People gotta learn to slow down. Lucky they didn't hit none of these tombstones. Real lucky. Hello? You alright? You okay? What the hell? What the fuck is going on here? There ain't nobody there. Miss? Hello?
One of the most mysterious and horrifying events
since the Dyatlov Pass. The group guide drops down to her knees and begins acting absolutely insane. The 4 remaining unaffected individuals look on in horror as this woman begins to try and end her own life using a rock in a fashion that is way too brutal to mention on this platform. And after just a few seconds, she would inevitably succeed. At this point, 2 of the 4 remaining individuals begin to make a run for it, but didn't make it too far before they too would fall to the ground. They began erratically rolling around trying to remove their clothing, saying that they felt like they were on fire before passing away not too long after. Dennis and Valia, the last 2 remaining individuals of this group, begin making their way further down the mountain in order to get help. But not too long after this, Dennis would collapse and fall ill in the same way that everyone else had. Valia, at this point, begins running down the mountain as fast as she possibly can, where she would lose consciousness before coming to sometime later. And when she did, she would follow the power lines down the side of the mountain next to a river where 2 kayakers would inevitably rescue her. Further investigation would show that yes, all of these individuals did pass away, gripping their throats, looking like they were struggling to breathe, but the official cause of death was listed as hypothermia. Now, there are a slew of theories out there as to what may have caused all these events to take place, but most of them revert back to one specific thing, that being the idea of a nerve agent and its presence somehow being on that hill. Did the group see something they weren't supposed to see, or was it just simply washed up with the rain? And as they passed by, they began to breathe it in. We will never know, making the Korovina Group incident It sure beats being pursued by a 20-foot-long monster in the middle of the night. January 21st, 1945, on an island just off the coast of Burma. British and Japanese forces are clashing on the ground, trying to take control of an airstrip which had been taken over by Japan in 1942. Now, while there were about 1,000 Japanese troops in this specific area of the island, it was just simply not enough to hold back British forces. They would begin to get worked back, eventually butting up to a swamp with nowhere else to go. So at this point, they really only had 2 options. It was either stay here fighting a losing battle to the last man, or try and make their way through this swamp to the other side of the island where there were more forces that would be able to help. And as they're sitting here watching all of this chaos unfold around them, they are losing more men by the second. They would ultimately decide to jump into the swamp and make their way to the other side. Little did they know, this decision would lead to one of the most horrifying tales of all time. As daylight faded away, things would begin to calm down. British forces staged men in boats at the edge of this swamp in order to keep watch throughout the night. And as soon as the sun went down, that's when it all started. Gunfire and screams erupted from within the swamp. The British would ready themselves for an impending attack, but it never came. They just kept hearing these bursts of gunfire and screams repetitively occurring throughout the entire night. The men inside that swamp are now waging a war against one of the most ferocious beasts this world has ever seen, the saltwater crocodile. And what's more is they are outnumbered by the thousands trying to escape the mercy of this perfect predator. This is the story of the worst crocodile attack in history, and it occurred on Ramree Island. Out of the approximately 1,000 men that entered the swamp that night, only 500 would make it to the other side, many of whom did climb up into trees and waited till daylight in order to make their escape, which wasn't much better. But